live. Yeah. I was on a call. I was on a customer service thing for Zoom yesterday. I had asked a question. I was number 409 in the queue. I think they're a little busy over at Zoom. All right, let me hit the record button over here. I had asked a question. I was number 409 in the queue. Oh, wait a minute. I'm like, wow, somebody else had the same question. I forget that's me. That's a handsome sounding dude right there. Hey, good morning, everybody. It is, what's the month? April 2nd, 2020.
You got April 22.
April 22. April 2nd, 2020. And it is an amazing morning. Why? Because we're here. You're on this side of the grass. You have some amazing things to do this day. And you will definitely fulfill those desires, those wants and wishes. Let's go ahead and start off by sending out our three messages. And for anybody that happens to be new on the call, I'm looking. I don't know if there, maybe if you're new on the call, drop an N in the chat. We'd love to welcome you and send you some love and hearts and all of that good joy. We send out three messages each morning to say, just hello world. Send some love and recognition to some folks that we have, that we know, that's in our life, that we really like to, we just want to remind them how important they are to us. And what that does is it actually makes more room for us to have more of what we want and less of what we don't. So there you go. I have promised to meet all of your needs according to my glorious riches. Well, I don't think there's much more to read after that. That's out of my devotional. First line today, April 2nd. Anybody have any ahas, awarenesses, or awakenings as we get started? Just would like to check in, see how you're doing, see if anybody's had this breakthrough so that they can do more of what they want, less of what they don't. Interesting.
Hey, Sean.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. Hope everyone's well. Hope everyone's okay today. Just wanted to share something to do with art. And obviously, as you know, I paint and draw and love expressing myself. But I had a calling to basically do more with my art. So I'm just sort of in two minds of what that is. I'm still figuring it out. But yeah, I just want to do more. I want to paint every day in a sight of what others people don't see, maybe.
Okay. So that causes you so being judged?
Not being judged, more sort of my experiences, personal experiences, what I've been through, sort of like the pain and stuff I'm healing from. And generally like just the itch for the paintbrush to be in my hand and the hand to be on the canvas doing something.
Okay.
So it was in flow.
So that's the one that wants you to do it. What's the one that, what's the conversation that do you think's happening in your head that's saying don't do it?
That's the part I'm trying to work out.
Okay, you know the answer. You wouldn't know the answer if otherwise you'd be painting.
Mm-hmm.
So the answer is there. It's kind of hidden there. What did you paint yesterday?
I didn't know.
Okay, so
I'm gonna paint today though.
So if you paint today, what's the story you're going to tell yourself while you're painting?
I love what I do. I'm sort of going to go with the flow of how I feel and what colors to use, because that normally happens when I'm in the flow of things.
Okay. And just be aware, be listening for the one who's going to tell you that was good today, but you don't deserve tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, definitely. Thank you.
You bet. Because it's for you to say it, for you to express, I do it, then I don't do it. I'm getting the itch to do it more, to stay in the flow. I want to do it every day. I mean, if we knew.
I think I know the reason why, and it may be totally different, but I think it's because I've struggled with marketing it and selling it and actually getting it out there for the price that it's worth. And also I've undervalued, and because of that, I've undervalued sort of how much it could be worth, or different pieces could be worth X amount. But I've undervalued that and not actually put it confidently out there that I deserve to be compensated for my paintings the way that it's valued at, sort of thing.
Okay.
I feel like that's a really big something that's holding me back a lot.
That's probably a very big reason that holds it back.
Because it's okay to create and have the space to store up paintings and stuff, but if it's not, inspiring someone else in their house, for example, or hanging on the wall, and they're not loving it, and they don't see the value in it, then it's sort of like, it's not pointless, because I still enjoy what I do, and that's the best thing about what I do. I love what I do, but it's sort of like, it's a business at the end of the day as well as a passion of mine.
Well, and so it varies very little. There's very little difference between it and our profession of network marketing, because we get paid to help people.
Of course.
And your designs are to inspire people. And so therefore you would wind up getting paid to help people. Wouldn't that be something?
Right, of course.
So that's the neat thing about this. And so, yeah, I would just, have you ever videoed yourself while you're painting it?
I have, and I'm going to start doing that more, because I've only done it a couple of times, and I got inspired today by one of my friends who said to me, you should just record yourself and do like a time-lapse video, speed it up, release it. I have a YouTube channel that I'm not even doing anything with, unfortunately. So, and I need to do that, obviously, this year. I really want to work hard on that.
So you may wind up finding out some things about watching yourself when you paint it.
True. Very true.
Very cool. Thank you for being open enough to share that conversation this morning.
No problem. Thank you, Sean.
You bet. Have an amazing paint-filled day.
Thank you. Have an amazing day yourself.
Thank you.
Good morning, Sean.
Good morning.
I have a question. So I've been deep diving into journaling a little bit more than what I'm used to. So a lot of new things are coming up when I'm journaling.
Mm-hmm.
What I start off with is my gratitude, my affirmations, and my goals.
Okay.
Is there any other, or is there other advice or anything that you feel that should be poured out as you're journaling aside from those things?
Well, journaling to me, it isn't an end result. It's an ongoing thing all day long. So what'd you do well? What could you have done better? What contact, resource, or talent do you need to come into your life for tomorrow to make it your best day ever? So maybe adding asking the brain at night, what contact, talent, or resource do you need to find tomorrow to make it the best day ever?
Mm.
Like I'm going to be jumping off this call at 7:30 or probably 7:25 because somebody set up an interview yesterday with me and a good friend, Jeff Hulkivers, who's in the profession. He's got an organization of 600,000, sold his pickup truck to get started in the profession 20 years ago, I think, maybe 25 years ago. And he's just this amazing soul. And I got the call last night, say, hey, listen, I scheduled you for a call. We'll probably have a couple of thousand people on the Zoom, and it's just about mindset. And so I'm like, okay, where are we going? What are we doing? And it's called the Morning Huddle. The link is on my page, but yeah, I have no idea what Jeff and I are going to talk about.
Mm.
So, but I did say last night, I always ask, what talent, resource, or skill do I need to be included in to continue to share my message? And this just comes out of the blue. And then I'm also be on it at 3:30 this afternoon, 3 o'clock or 3:30. I'm not even sure of the times. but that's how my days are been going recently. These
Mm.
opportunities, these places, and because I can't define it, that's for darn sure.
Right.
But if I become present to it, then I'm not trying to I'm not worrying about the how. Too many people worry about the how. If you knew the how, you'd be doing it. How do I do this? If you knew how, if you ask that question, what you're doing is you're fractioning the solutions. If you ask for the how, your brain is going to absolutely look for a how, and the only way it can find the how is from the past.
Mm.
Right? If I ask, well, if anybody's ever coached basketball, especially freshman basketball, that's one of the most difficult jobs. I mean, that's probably more difficult than MBA. And
Yeah.
here's why I say that. Because from kindergarten to 7th grade, they picked up all the bad habits. And whoever coaches freshman basketball is now responsible for teaching them how to do it all a different way.
Mm.
Right? Because they're finally strong enough to shoot from up here versus the hip shot where they're going to get Wilson splattered on their head every time they take a shot. They're going to get jammed down their throat. So it's about how, it's not about the how, it's about the why, and trying to convince them why they should shoot it up here is you really can't unless you bring another tall freshman, and every time they shoot, they just whack the ball. So what's the why of your day? Imagine if we said to everybody, hey, why are you? They couldn't answer good. They couldn't answer sad. They couldn't answer mad. Why are you? Why? Well, why am I what? Why are you here? Why are you alive today?
Mm.
What's your purpose today? Does that help, Leo?
Yes, tremendously. Thank you.
Cool. Awesome sauces. Anyone else? Thoughts, comments, feedback?
Can you repeat what you just said about the how?
Okay.
Because that's good. My mouth was like, oh, shoot, that makes a lot of sense.
Good morning, Taylor. So the challenge is that, Taylor, do you like to cook? Do you like, I mean, not that maybe you're a chef, maybe you are, but is there anything you like to cook?
Yes, I love to cook, actually. It's very therapeutic to me.
Okay.
You said, what is my favorite thing to cook?
Yeah, what's some of your favorite meals?
I like spaghetti and meatballs. I like loaded potatoes.
Okay.
I'm fat.
So spaghetti and meatballs. Do you make the meatballs?
Yes. Well, not from scratch, but I get them in like a little package.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a particular store you like to buy the meatballs from?
Yes, ShopRite.
Okay, so you get them from ShopRite. Do you know how they make them?
No. Mm-mm.
Do you, but have you tried them from other places and they're not as good?
Yeah, I tried it from Walmart. I think I got another brand from ShopRite, but I just like this specific brand. It's like Italian. It comes with like 14 meatballs.
Okay. So for your recipe, that's a why, not a how.
Mm.
If it was a how, you'd wind up either making them yourself, or you'd buy them from someplace else, or you would want to know the reason why those particular Italian ones from ShopRite are good. That's you get a why, not a how. Why?
Okay.
Because I like the taste, not how the taste. I like the taste.
Right.
So that's a why ingredient.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any particular spaghetti you use?
No, I just like thick noodles. That's it.
So it's not brand. You just say, so your why is thick noodles, not your
Yeah.
how.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That makes sense.
Starting to see the difference between a why ingredient and a how ingredient.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And then I'm possibly guessing, maybe is the sauce from someplace made as well? Or do you make
No, it's just the regular Prego sauce.
Okay. So, but I bet it's Prego Italian or chunky or something. I bet there's a particular Prego sauce that you like.
Mm-hmm. I just like the marinara one.
So you get the marinara. So, right, they have the garlic, they have the olive, they have all of this stuff. You go, no, 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 I just like the marinara. So I like my ShopRite meatballs. I like my Prego marinara, and I don't care the brand, but I just like the fat noodles.
Yeah.
Why? Because that's what I like.
Mm-hmm.
And if somebody else comes along and eats that meal with you, because maybe, just quite possibly, you enjoy it so much, they're like, this is pretty good. I've never had this before. So it's a new how for them that serves a need.
Okay.
So that helps you.
That makes sense.
That's the difference between a why and a how. Most people are worrying about the how. How am I going to get this done? How many times, this is where I tell people, I suggest people, I encourage people, write down the 50 things that you got through in life, the 50 things you accomplished in life that nobody really knew how you would do it, but your why was strong enough, you got it done.
Right.
And then all of a sudden that gives you credibility. And yours is one of your accomplishments is making your own spaghetti you love.
Right.
But we go, making spaghetti, that's nothing. See how easily we don't give ourselves credit for creating something we love. See, we could take your spaghetti sauce right back to Rakaya this morning when she was talking about, well, I want to paint every day. I need to paint every day. I just love to do it, but I feel maybe it's not worth it. Maybe people won't see the value in it. Maybe I'll have to sell it for less, and it's frustrating. So she's trying to make spaghetti with not Prego, somebody else's sauce, with the meatballs that ain't the right meatballs, and the spaghetti that's thin noodles, angel hair pasta. And it's like, it's all the same stuff almost, but I don't really like it.
Yeah.
Does that help?
It does.
Cool.
Thank you so much.
Yay. Have an amazing morning. Dakaya. Gina, I see your hand up. We'll go to Gina, then Dakaya.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
How are you doing, Sean?
There's something sharing with you, something pulling you to awaken, to arise, and to pay attention for a moment.
Okay.
So have a journal, have a pad near you when you wake up. And if you can, turn on a light and just start journaling. Ask the question, why am I so good at waking up at 3? Why am I so amazed at the reasons I wake up at 3? And start journaling.
Okay.
And if you don't want to journal, audio record it. Just turn the recorder on your phone and just start talking to it.
Okay.
You'll be amazed at what comes out. It's freaky sometimes what comes out. All good stuff, but it's amazing.
I feel like I've been psyching myself out of what might happen when I.
Sure you have. Yeah, it's a break.
Then I force myself to go back to sleep. All right. But another question I had, I don't know if this is considered like an aha moments, because kind of my aha moments have been coming like back to back to back. So once I have one, it's like multiple over and over again.
Sure.
But I had one yesterday because I was kind of thinking about you and how you say that we're providing people a solution to their problems. We're not selling them the idea of network marketing or selling them a product.
Right.
We're selling shit. And the only way to understand people's problems is to better understand people. So I think like you're the perfect person to ask, how do I better understand people to get to the point where they're comfortable enough to tell me their problems?
Well, so if we put ourselves in the other person's shoes, nobody ever has a problem. My daddy taught me that when I was 14 years old, when I was going to go sell in a coal mine. I was going to sell in a wash plant. And I said, so he said, so what's your biggest goal for today? I said, solve their problems. He goes, you won't sell a damn thing. I'm like, what? That's all we do. He says, yeah, but ain't nobody going to want to buy their problem. They want to buy a solution. So I would encourage you, first of all, start with, all we are here is to provide a solution. If somebody says no to us and our goal was to provide them a solution, That was the solution we provided them, a place to say no to. So the way you understand people better is you, first of all, got to spend more time with people. You listen more. You listen with the intent. What did Covey say? Stephen Covey in his book, A 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, seek first to understand, then be understood. Look at everything from them, from the way they show up. What made them put on the clothes that they have on? What made them sit where they're sitting? Are they sitting facing the windows? Are they sitting facing the room? Are they an introvert, an extrovert? Are they sitting facing, are you in a booth or one of those benches and they sat in the chairs out there and they're looking just at just you? Are they an introvert? You just start to understand people more so that as they request their solution. How many times have we had people ask for help? We gave them the help and they never used it. And then we're the ones frustrated. So get good at asking questions. If you want to if you want to understand people, get good at asking questions, but listen to the questions you're being prompted to ask. And I would encourage you to use words like maybe, possibly, quite. Is there a chance? Is it at all possible? Maybe, possibly. What if? Take away the pressure of any solution that you offer. Hey, so what do you do? I get asked that. I guess what I do might be something to the extent of, because now they don't have to accept it, but they can hear it a lot easier when what I do is I teach people how to make more money. I teach people how to have more fun. Oh, well, yeah, that's not me. I don't need that. I have all the fun I want. I have all the money I need, is what their subconscious is saying. That's what keeps them stuck. So how can you have a conversation with the person you're talking to have a conversation with their neighbor who's not there? And their neighbor is their old story that they keep checking, that when you see their eyes dart off, when they go to answer a question, they're searching their mind. They're running across the street to go ask their neighbor, hey, how do I answer this question? And they come up with a question that, because the neighbor's smart enough, because he's been watching you the whole time, silently, quietly over the fence. And he answers the question in such a way that makes you feel good, that keeps you from asking more questions. And you leave the conversation going, what just happened? This has been so good for them. They made me, I heard all of the right answers. They said all of the right answers. They asked all of the right questions. This would be so good for them, but they never said it would be good for them. So that's how you get used to spending more time with people. You say thank you to a lot of people. You want to understand people, you say thank you to them, and you watch their micro expressions. Where people, you go, hey, good morning, and they go, they're like, you broke them out of this shocking story that was running on in their head, and they give you that fake smile. They can't not smile, but it was like, morning. So they're easily influenced, right? They need to fit in. All of these little things. Start asking questions every time you see somebody respond to something. We don't stand in lines anymore, but if you were standing in line, I would encourage you to watch the people in front of you and behind you. Their actions will be both different. Watch the people who are on video on this call and see what they're doing. See what makes, when their head moves a different way, are they taking a note about something? Are they watching something? Do they look up into the camera? Are they paying attention at all to the camera? Is there something I say that draws their attention?
So does this change when you raise your level of awareness? You start to pick up on these little things?
Well, I will say this. If I sat down next to you and we started having a conversation, and somebody else sat down next to you that you were attracted to, might you pay more attention to what they do versus what I do?
Yeah.
So when you mention level of awareness, it's not about changing your level of awareness. It's just about becoming aware. It's not about how old you are or young you are. It's about what you are falling in love with. And if you can fall in love with everybody that you come across in such a way that you don't lose yourself, you will become aware of things only people in love can become aware of. Do you like puppies?
I do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Don't we get a little more giggles out of puppies licking us than we do sometimes somebody else's? We could let anybody's puppy give us kisses,
Mhm.
but it's rare we would let somebody's big dog give us kisses. So why are we so attracted to puppies? Because they're high energy, or kittens, or anything, right? We just want to pick them up and snuggle them. We want to put them up here by our face, and we just want to smell them in them. Oh. But somebody's big old bull mastiff, we go, oh, that's, unless it's ours, or unless you like big animals. I grew up on a farm. I love big animals, horses, right? Cows. There's few things better than giving a cow a big old hug around its neck. So it's just your level of awareness is the appreciation you have for what you're becoming aware of. You could look at your notes right now and you could see something on look at your notebook that you're writing in right now. Tell me
Mhm.
something you haven't seen before on your notebook.
All the notes that I write?
Okay. Does it have a spiral bind? Is it a 3-ring binder? Is it a notepad?
Opposition book.
Composition book. How's it held together in the middle? Staples?
Mhm. It's like twine, I think.
Okay, so twine. So have you ever studied the twine?
No,
How long have you owned that composition book?
about a month now.
Okay, so for a month you've had something and you're not even sure how it's held together. That's studying people. What holds them together? Does that make sense?
Hmm.
It's like, well, wait a minute, it's just a composition book. I get it. But when you start to become enthralled, when you start to become engaged, when you just become amazed at the objects that are around us, that are inanimate, that don't move, because our life is filled with objects. Our life is pretty much governed by objects. Ones we have, ones we don't have, ones we wish we had, from clothes and watches and this and that and the other. There's very few living things we come across. And you know why it's so hard to understand the things that are living that we come across is because the things our days are filled with, we pay no attention to. If you paid attention to the pen that you're holding right now, there would be something different you would find out about it if you looked at it. Is that a favorite pen of yours?
Not really a favorite.
One that but do you like that style of pen, the way the tip writes? No?
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you would really enjoy the way that pen feels in your hand?
Yeah, I bought a whole box.
Okay, good. How many are in the box?
I think 12.
Okay, probably 12. Have you ever taken one apart?
Yeah, to check if the ink was empty.
Okay. But see, you checked it to see if it was empty. Did you ever take it apart to see if it was full?
No.
Change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. Little things like that. I know that sounds crazy. It's like, what are you talking about? How does this relate anything to business? If we start investigating the things that we need to investigate, the things that are around us most often, how can we become aware of the thing we rarely see if we're not aware of the things that we always see? So, does that help?
It does.
Okay, cool.
But then after I had that question,
Wait a second. You hold on to that question. Tell me why that helps.
because it helps me become more aware of the things I don't see or I don't pay attention to.
Yep. Cool. And if what would happen, do you think, if you become aware of more things that are around you, if you paid attention to more things around you, what do you think might happen?
Maybe I'd start to love the things around me more.
Good. And
appreciate
you may get rid of
Oh,
things
yeah.
around you.
Mhm.
And you'll be doing less and becoming more.
Mhm.
Cool. What was your next follow-up question?
Yeah,
or comment?
because after I had that aha moment, it really wasn't like a question, but I realized, like when I used to work in customer service before,
Mhm.
people would kind of inadvertently tell me their problems without me asking. So it's like, is that, it makes me wonder, like, is that one of the gifts I have, that people feel comfortable enough, like complete strangers that I've never really met would come and tell me about their divorces and how their identity got stolen?
And I think you just said it, but why do you think they said that to you? Why do you think they were able to reveal themselves to you at another level?
Because I made them feel comfortable enough.
Nobody will tell you their story unless they feel safe and they've given you permission to hear their story. Right? We may say things to a baby that we wouldn't say to an adult. Maybe they felt comfortable saying it so that they could leave it with you.
Hmm.
The challenge is that when people come to us and they leave their story with us, all too often we pick it up and try to make it our story. And so now that story rattles around in our head, and all of a sudden that their story becomes our story. And we're like, how did we get here? This wasn't even my story. And the chances are that's true. But isn't our current state of frustration always somebody else's story? I'm not good enough, tall enough, short enough, light enough, dark enough. My hair's not straight enough or curly enough. We're never enough because that's somebody else's story that we picked up. They didn't lay it down in front of us and we picked it up. They kind of threw it on us like a wet blanket. Does that help?
Yes, it does.
Cool. Yay.
Thank you.
Good morning, Takaya.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, good morning, everyone. So I actually just had the question of a few days ago, you had a stack of quotes, and I believe they were on cards. What was the name of that? I couldn't catch on to it.
It's called the Motivation Manifesto cards by Brennan Bouchard.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
You're
And
welcome.
that's really all for today. I haven't really had any. I've been answering a lot of my own questions
Yay.
in this inadvertent way. And yeah, even when Gina asked, why do people feel so comfortable telling me things? I was like, well, I guess I make them feel comfortable without me realizing it sometimes. So yeah,
And here's a
that's
card
all.
for you, Takaya, today.
All right.
We are not a slave to our history. We can be freed by our conscious thoughts and our disciplined habits.
Yes. I've noticed since I've gotten a lot more. Good morning. I've noticed since I got a lot more organized and just really, I guess, into my journaling, I definitely have been just more free, and it's gotten my mind moving in a more positive way. So definitely needed that.
You bet.
Thank you guys, and have a good rest of the day.
You bet. Thank you, Takaya. There you are, Steph. The Motivation Manifesto cards by
I
Brendan.
have the book. That's one of the greatest books I've ever read. Amazing book.
How long ago did you read it?
I read it periodically, at least once a year. I've had it for 4 years now.
Okay. So you define the book as what? One of the what books that for you?
One of the greatest books I've ever read.
Okay. And you've only read it 5 times in 4 years?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you're the greatest teacher that's ever existed, and I only come to you once every 4 years, and I'm pissed off I don't know how to dance salsa. What would you tell me? Come more
Coming
often?
back. Hmm.
Hmm.
1 second, Sean. Hold on that thought. I had to pull it out of my library. I'm gonna put it right on my desk now.
There you go.
That was meant to be. That was meant to be.
Yep. So you have this is the challenge, folks. This is what our subconscious does. This is how Reka started us off this morning, was that I love to paint. I can do it every day, but I don't do it every day. But if I did it every day, I would have this amazing results every day. But then I got to figure out how to sell it every day. Oh my goodness. What if what if the things that we loved that inspired us, we just did that? How challenging could life be? Leo, hold that book up again for us, just for a second.
It's like torn. I used to take it with me everywhere, this book.
Yeah. Used to. Now you are.
Now, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Folks, this is how we trick ourselves. Whether it's reading the Bible, studying scripture, the things that bring us the most joy, why do we set them on the shelf? Leo, you absolutely love to dance. You could dance in your sleep. I could play music and your body will start moving. You'll be dancing in your dreams before you come to the conscious state.
Yes, sir.
Why do we have something that inspires us, that motivates us, that gives us joy, the objects around us, and we put it on a shelf?
What I gather from that, I believe, I'm speaking from my own experience, just allowing things to pass and take over, not being aware.
Yeah, do you know how hard the subconscious has to fight to keep you stuck?
What do you mean?
If you read that book, are you stuck?
No.
You know how hard it had to work to get you to put it on the shelf and let you think you're in charge every year or every now and then pick it up? It was busting its ass trying to keep you stuck when you used to carry that book around. It came up with 1,001 other things. You know how creative the subconscious has to be to keep you stuck when you're carrying that book around? Because you are the one that got tired, not it. You're the one that got tired from reading the book. And the book doesn't make you tired, but you got a story that somewhere ran in your head that said, you know what, let me just put this book away. Why? And now you went and picked it up. Now it showed up. Now listen, 408 episodes. I've only showed these cards twice. Dakaya asked about it, read her one, and then you, because you had to see these the last time. I'm pretty sure you were on the call. Maybe you weren't. But if you were, you're on the call today and you go, hey, I have that book. One of the greatest books I've ever read. I've owned it for 4 years. I pick it up every now and then. I'm sorry, what?
Wow.
And normally a coach would say, that's good. A mentor's making you realize, have the conversation that seems totally bizarre. Why did you ever put the book on the shelf? If it was the greatest book you've ever read or one of the greatest books you've ever read, why is it sitting on the gosh dang shelf? Do you realize the story? This is what I mean by becoming, when you digest a situation. How could a story that's one of the greatest books you've ever read, this is for any of us, be sitting on a shelf, but you could instantly go get it because your heart knows exactly where it's at, and your subconscious is going, Can't we pile some books over that so he doesn't even see it anymore? So it's not in his subconscious view.
Wow. That comes up for me as many other things, not just this one book.
Jim Rohn just said that's a clue.
That's a clue. Oh, wow. I got it.
This is what happens when we dive into people. Dakaya, this is a perfect, or Gina, this is a perfect example of understanding people. I can't hear somebody say it's one of my greatest books. Great. How long ago did you get it? About 4 years ago. How many times have you read it? Well, about once a year. I'm sorry, what? How is that possibly the greatest book, one of the greatest books you've ever had in your hands, and it's sitting on a shelf? How have you not bought 4 of them because you've eaten the first 3? You can look at somebody's shoes and tell if they practice, can't they?
Oh yeah, you could look at my shoes and see that I burned the dance floor with them.
My point is that you know what to look for,
right?
Because that's your forte. Are you looking? You just have somebody show you their dance shoes. They don't need to tell you what practice or what their story was about or what life may be or this, that, or the other. Just show me your dance shoes. And if they're still taking the plastic off of them, they probably haven't used them a whole lot. But when you show me a book that's torn and tattered, why don't you have 4 of them? I'm sure you have the same dance shoes you started in, right?
No.
Why would you ever wear out a pair of dance shoes? Because I love them. Why won't you wear out this book?
Wow.
Gina, does that help? Do you see how we just had that understanding people more? Cool.
Sean, I have another question.
Cool.
With all the information, especially in our profession, there's a lot of leadership conversations. There's a lot of inner circle conversations. And the information is very, very similar. Everyone has their own interpretation as well as their own delivery of the message. How do you decipher? How do you navigate all this information that you listen to? So therefore you don't put any books back up on the shelf.
I listen with the intent to come up with the question of what the statement says.
Listen with the intention?
The intention to figure out what's the question that needed to be asked based upon the statement they just said. This is how I take notes. I don't take notes, I take questions. Because their notes are their 3%, are their 93%, 97% experience turned into a 3% conversation. Because if anybody's teaching, training, they're in the 3% club and they're trying to talk to somebody who wants what they want, who needs what they need, who's trying to get what they've gotten. So therefore, they're sitting there and they're having a conversation as a 97%er listening to a 3% teaching. So if a 3% is teaching, I want to know what's the question they had as a 97%er to write that question, to come up with that solution. So when you hear Rhonda talk about how she says, I have these pages of notes and she asks all these questions, that was a transition for her because everybody takes notes. I don't take notes. Usually don't take notes. What I do take is I take the question that created that note that makes that note even more powerful so that I could ask the question. So that's the answer that I just wrote down or that they just said. So I can listen to anybody. I can listen to anybody from Sadhguru to a press briefing, to a debate between newscasters, to interviews, to books. I'm always going to ask the question, what is the question that made them say that statement? And it's a little bit of a transition. Rhonda, what do you know how it was that made you do that switch? Why you wanted to do the switch? Why you now take notes in an oddball way?
Yeah. Yeah, you should see my notes right now. Part of it was trying to figure out how you got, it's funny asking a question, trying to figure out how you got what you got out of us sitting side by side, listening to the exact same thing or reading the exact same thing. And I'm like, where did that come from? But then when you ask the questions that would come to your mind, I'm like, that's a flipping good question. How did he get that? And then he kind of started blowing my mind when he started asking questions about scriptures, when we'd have spiritual conversations. And I'm like, why are you asking that? And he's like, well, something had to happen to make somebody else say this. And then somebody had to ask a question, because you don't just write stuff down for no reason. And I'm like, I don't know. So either it's just childlike curiosity, or there's a part of me that I really like to know stuff. I like to know why. And it made me go, what's he doing? So then I started being the one peeking over and looking at his notes as well, going, let me see what you're writing. And so I thought, you know what could I do to dive deeper into my thought process and kind of dissect where things are coming from? And so I started asking myself questions. And then it just turned into, now when I hear something, my thought process is, what made them say that? What happened to them to make them say that? Or what is going on to make them say that? And I also, here's another big key, I also got even more guarded as to what is speaking into my subconscious. I got super guarded. I was already pretty guarded, but I got super guarded. And so now when I hear anything, I check, what is that feeding my subconscious? So does that help? Does that kind of answer your question?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, well, for the both of us. So it's kind of like what Jim Rohn always says, is standing guard at the door of your mind.
Yes. If that drives everything we do, as far as, you know, how we function and the way we process things and all that kind of stuff, then why aren't we standing guard at the door? It's the same, for a really simple thought process. It's the same reason we mow, like I live out in the country. It's the same reason we mow our yard. We have about almost 2 acres we mow, because if we don't mow, then every critter and creature in the woods, every snake, every varmint, everything will be right up in here right by our house. So we mow that and we keep it nice and trimmed a certain way, at a certain depth, at a certain height, at a certain time. And we keep it nice and mowed so we can see whatever's coming in. And if we don't, anything's going to come around. And then before you know it, you're going to walk outside and get sprayed by a skunk or step on a snake or whatever. So it's that whole process of, if I pay attention and keep it mowed, and I can see the boundaries of what's coming around me, and it keeps me from allowing anything that I don't need or that can cause me trouble from getting in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. I have that awareness because I'm very particular about the things that I listen to, what I even allow around me, to the point even my girlfriend knows not to listen or watch certain things around me. She loves horror movies. Nope. Like I will watch 1 or 2, just, you know, because you know, with her, like I watch them with her so she knows that I'm here with her, but my mind is not like actively watching it. It's interesting. So I have this understanding. I think it's continued awareness of not allowing certain things, even if they're dressed up real nice,
There you go.
you know, to come in and to play their part. So this was
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, the
Rhonda,
illusion,
really good.
the illusion is it's an illusion. And for you to be able to see the illusion and call it out for what it is, that's quite remarkable, because that's where you'll get really stumped. But you said something and it made me think about what I wrote down. So I wrote down what Sean said. Do you know how hard the subconscious has to work? How creative it has to be to keep you stuck? And because my Bible study is kind of over this today. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's why we're so stressed out and worn out. Because subconsciously, we're working our butts off to keep ourselves stuck. And all the while consciously we're going, man, why am I stuck? And it's because we've let something come into our yard, or we haven't mowed the grass often enough to where something has gotten too close to us and to our thought process, that it has caused us to subconsciously hear that and see it, and then now our conscious mind is going, wait, what's that, and it keeps running by, and you're like, wait, what was that in the grass? Hang on. When if you would just go out and mow the grass, you wouldn't have to worry about it. So if you just keep it clean as to what you're allowing to come in, you don't have to worry as often. You don't have to think about those things jumping out at you as often, because you know there's nothing there. I can see it. So I wrote down what's driving my subconscious, and how important is it to be aware of what I'm hearing, what I'm speaking, who I'm hearing from, and what they are saying and where they're saying it from.
Capturing all that.
That's fine. That's why I paused.
Rhonda, you in charge.
Uh-oh.
Smart
I don't
man.
know about all that.
Smart man.
Don't talk long, Sean.
I'll be back. Love you all.
Love you. Don't talk long. Come back.
Bye.
Rhonda, can you repeat that again?
I hope so. So what's driving my subconscious? How important is it to guard what I'm hearing and what's speaking into me, who's speaking into me, and from what they're hearing? So who's speaking into them? And then that makes you ask the questions that how Sean takes notes is, can I see what happened to them to make them ask the questions they're asking or say what they're saying?
So that's like being in another person's world, coming from their perspective.
Yeah, trying to see that. I'm always real cautious as to, like, when I first started coming around Sean and listening to him, and Steffi, I actually changed today, and I'm not in my pink robe because I've got to do my Bible study here pretty soon, and I don't have time to get ready after this. I'm cautious as to, I'm trying to remember exactly how you said. Ask your question one more time.
So what I got from what you had shared, right? The last question is like, can I see where that person is speaking from? Like,
yes.
Can I relate to where they're coming from, right? So
yes.
it's being in the other person's world, right? We're in what, 4 billion, everyone has their own world. There's 4 billion worlds on this one planet. So it's us being able to understand the other person's world enough that we can relate to why they're saying what they're saying. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And then it also, go ahead.
Oh no, I was asking, checking in. It was that similar to?
Okay. Yeah, so that is, and that's, I'm trying to remember exactly where my mind was going with that. I saw the pink robe comment and I got sidetracked. I had a squirrel moment. That when I first came around Sean, that's one reason why when I first come around a lot of people, it's not necessarily a good characteristic. I kind of hold them at arm's length because I want to figure out if I want to ask enough questions to figure out where they're speaking from and what source they tap into to speak from. Because it's kind of like what you said, is there an illusion that I'm listening to, or am I listening to someone who really has a good source that they've tapped into to speak some truth into my life?
Right.
So,
Mm.
okay. Y'all bear with me. Sean just kind of threw me out there. I'm going to see if we can all do this together. So what, there's 2 hands up. Brittany? Where's Brittany?
I'm here.
Where's she at?
Can
Hello,
you hear me?
Brittany.
Brittany's
Hey,
in the
girl.
house.
Huh? It's wait, is it are you leading the call right now? I don't know what's happening.
Apparently I am, because Sean had to jump off.
Oh,
So
okay.
I don't know how
Okay.
this is going to go, but we'll do it together.
No, yeah. So actually, I didn't have a question. I just had something to say, and it's so funny, not funny, whatever, that you said you were talking about how we work so hard. And I've been coming up with all these realizations and putting all these things together and together and together. And the most important realization that I've come to is that I don't work for things, things work for me. And it's funny how you said about cutting the grass, because I was actually just talking to Nano yesterday about our business plan. And we were on a team call, and they were just like, yeah, we need to do this, and we need to do this, and we need to do this. And I'm new to their teams, and I'm just sitting there like, we don't need to do any of this shit. Like, I'm like, so I called him and I was just like, why are we working so hard? Why we're overworking ourselves. And when you do that, you're not able to perform at your maximum capacity every single time. We don't need to work this hard, babe. We have a system in place that is the work. That the person, we don't do the work. The people as a network marketing business, the people that I let people know when they come in, hey, you're the one that's doing the work. We have the system. You have to learn how to play the game, basically, you know. And if you need anything, I'm here. But all of the answers that you're looking for are going to come from you logging into that system and doing what you're supposed to be doing. You know what I'm saying? Like anything else has nothing to do with me. I'm just here for support. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I was like, and it's crazy because that's how I maneuver. And the people that I bring into my business, because I'm so self-sufficient, are also really self-sufficient. They ask a lot of questions, yet they're self-sufficient. And I'm like, yo, they're a direct reflection of me, because I can work diligently by myself, and then I'm like, damn, I got a question. Okay, let me ask this question. Okay, bet. And then I'm back to, it. I'm back to doing it and getting it done. And another realization, when Gina was talking, something just kept saying to my mind, like, she is not asking the right questions. And that's why she keeps asking these questions, Gina. I don't know why, but this is just what popped up. It was like, ask the right questions, ask the right questions. And a lot of people don't ask the right questions because they really are afraid. They don't want the answer, whether they're afraid of it, or it's going to force them to have to actually do the work. You really don't want the answer, so you're asking the wrong questions. And I feel as if what I've learned from being on these calls isn't new knowledge, it was a reminder, right? And so I had been asking the wrong questions for years. And now that I got on here and I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm asking the wrong questions, and I asked the right questions. That's why I feel so free and focused. I feel so unbothered. I just feel love and light all the time. It's crazy. And I wish all of that to everyone else who has to be quarantined into the house because I couldn't imagine being in the house with a sad spirit. I just couldn't.
So
It,
let's mesh the two together because you said it beautifully. You started off with, I talked to Nano, and you know, these people are all saying, asking these questions and doing this and doing this. So they're working so hard. So what question is running in their head to make them think they have to work that hard?
and this is what I
Where,
told Nana. I don't know if he wants me to share this, but hey, I'm gonna share it anyway. And I told him, I said, because I've noticed it myself. I just met Nano for the first time in person a couple months ago. But again, I'm very good at picking up on people's inner feelings. It's just my energy. I can see that. And so I met him and I just started asking him all these questions about himself. And I told him yesterday, I said, Nano, I said, you know why? I said, you working hard is continuing to distract you. I said it's coming off, you're putting out into the universe a energy of lack. You're scared that you won't retain your team. You're scared that you won't reach the next level of success. You're afraid that none of this stuff is going to come to you if you don't grind yourself into the pavement. And I was like, you're putting that out. That's fear. And you're working too hard and you're exhausting yourself, exerting yourself. That's what I'm looking for. You're overexerting yourself and you're continuing to perpetuate that energy out into the universe. Relax. I'm like, relax. Just relax and know that it will come. And I was like, we need to work smarter, not harder. It's not about working harder, it's about being more efficient.
so
I'm like, we have
what question could you ask him to help him walk through his own thoughts on his own about that?
what are you actually afraid of?
Yeah, what's driving
That
this
fear.
fear,
Yeah.
and where
write this down.
where did this get spoken into you?
To where you have to work hard to get whatever you want to get.
Right.
Yeah, I don't feel that way. Especially as a woman, I really don't feel that I have to exert any physical labor
Well, I
to do
think.
anything.
Oh, sorry, Brittany.
No, you're good. This is the open conversation. We have no
Oh,
walls.
I think it's, the book that we've been reading with Nano is Ask and It Shall Be Given, which is from Abraham Hicks. And one of the things that I continue to listen from Abraham Hicks is the law of least effort. And this is exactly what you're speaking of, Brittany, and it smacked me right upside my head because I'm in the process of rebuilding my business from scratch, zero, and it's like, man, how much hard work do I have to put in? But that identity of hard is what prevents us from actually allowing and receiving. And
because we think, oh, sorry.
No. I was just gonna say, and I resonated exactly with what you were telling Nano. So I definitely understand what you mean.
We think that hard work looks like, let's just say, for instance, we're studying people that are quote unquote successful. And we're like, hard work looks like waking up early in the morning, being in the gym for 10 hours, doing this, doing that, doing this, doing that. But really, the hard work is just breaking down the walls that are built up within yourself, which leads me to my next realization. So it just dawned on me last night, and I was actually crying about it last night, and I cried about it this morning because I was on the phone with Sean a couple days ago, not even a week ago, I don't think. And I was telling him, how I have control issues, and I just try to force people to see that to believe in themselves. And so I used to form the question, why am I so good at showing people that they can fly, right? Why am I so good at showing people they can fly? Why am I so good at showing people they can fly? And what I realized last night, I'm gonna tell y'all what happened, was that I was so adamant on pushing people to believe in themselves when simultaneously I was pushing myself to believe in myself. And because I didn't believe in myself wholeheartedly, I was exerting too much force to get other people to believe in themselves. Now,
Mm.
let's just take for instance the breakthrough that I had, and life has been so seamless and effortless for me since then. So I haven't really exerted much effort and did anything that I really didn't want to do. And so last night, it's crazy, like three people from my team, they all text me their different stories about how they had this big grand realization. My friend texted me like he's been doing this for he was doing this for 5 years, right? I mean for 4 years. And then I introduced him to it. And then he did it with me. And then I had to leave my team. And now he's back on it. And he texted me last night and he was like, I'm quitting my job in 90 days. And I just started crying because I was like, oh my God, you finally understand. You really know that you can do it. Like I was like, yes, yes, yes. This is what I wanted. I wanted you to change the way that you look at things and the things you look at change. He was like, I've been off work for these past 3 days and I actually put in effort and I subconsciously was doing what I knew I was supposed to be doing, and it worked. It gave me the results I was looking for. And I was like, see. Well, I didn't say that, but that's what I was saying in my heart. I was like, see, I was like, you see what happens? Yes, I'm so happy. And then Jacinta, who's on the call today, she texted me too, and was like, I was so productive today. And I was like, yes, yes. I was so happy. I was just like, I was literally crying. And I was like, wow, why am I so good at showing people that they can fly? And it's crazy because it's Jesus. And I was also praying. I was praying and I was like, just work through me, just work through me, work through me, work through me. Allow me to dispel. What the quarantine also has shown me is that there's so many things that we hold on to that I've said this before that are just unnecessary. So once I just dropped all those things that I didn't have to commit myself to, that I really didn't want to commit myself to, it allowed me to just flow through life. And so now that I'm able to do that, people that are close to me kind of feel that energy and they probably just subconsciously start dropping things off as well. And I was just so happy about that.
That's you're so funny. That's the doing less
Less
and
becoming
becoming
more.
more.
Right? It all
Mhm.
makes sense, y'all. Like,
It like makes you be
it
like, yo,
really
this is
does.
real? Like, wow.
And I knew that it was real. So let me tell y'all something. I don't want to take over the conversation, but
No, it's
let me
good.
tell
You're
y'all,
good.
Go
let me tell
ahead.
y'all something that Sean told me the other day, and I was like, "Whoa, so trippy." So I called him and I said, "Sean, well, yeah, I called him to talk about something else." But I was like, I was driving in my car. I was driving in my car on Tuesday, and it was raining really, 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 really bad. And I was going somewhere that I really didn't want to go. I was going to physical therapy, but I really don't like going to physical therapy. Although I know I need to go, it's it just it's just too inconvenient to my life. So I was going in the rain and it's Corona, and I'm just like, I should not have to be forced to come outside. This is absurd. So I saw this guy standing on the corner with two briefcases with no coat on in the pouring rain. And I was just like, no, 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 right? I'm like, no, 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 no. He should not be out here. I do not want him out here. Pick him up, Brittany. Pick him up. Ask him if he needs a ride. And then as soon as I had that thought, I immediately, as a woman, was like, nah, because it's a man, you don't know. Things can be tricky, right? And so then I ended up not picking him up. And I was like, damn, I allowed that fear to overpower me helping him. And Sean was like, so you couldn't have did nothing? And I was like, think, 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 think. You know, like how when you the poopy, think, 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 think. And I had done. And then Sean was like, so if you have power, could you not have manifested some type of umbrella for him, some type of public transportation to come past and pick him up, or for somebody to come give him a ride, or for it to stop raining? And I was like, whoa, I didn't even think about it like that. And what that told me was that sometimes when we think that we can't help people directly, that we just can't help them at all, but we can still help them in other ways and wish them well, even through somebody else. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and I was just like, well, that's crazy, but it's not crazy because we pray for people all the time. But when you change that intent behind the prayer, or just intent behind anything else that you do, the mechanisms work in a way that they move differently and you get different results.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
you
it.
ask a better question, you get a better answer. You ask a specific
Exactly.
question, you get a specific answer. It's the same way when I'm
Exactly.
when people are coming to me about their prayer life and they say, you know, how do you pray and what do you pray for and all this kind of stuff. And if you pray a generic prayer, you get a generic answer. You start getting specific. If I asked Leo, can you teach me to dance? Yes. Okay. And then I get mad at him because he didn't teach me a particular dance step. That's kind of silly. I didn't ask for a particular dance step. I just asked him, can you teach me to dance? He's like, yeah, I can teach anybody to dance. But if I say, can you teach me to dance salsa? And I want to dance salsa and be good enough to do this long of a dance on this day of this month, can you take me there? He's like, yes, now I can tell you, and this is how we got to do it, and this is how often
Yeah.
we got to practice, and this is what we got to, the music I need you to listen to, and he can give me a specific. So that's exactly the same thing. If you get specific with your request and you realize you can even do that, and you start asking those specific questions, you get specific answers. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm trying to read Monique's question. Monique, can
God
you
bless
speak it
you.
out? Thank
Bless
you.
you.
Monique, can you speak it out loud? I'm not doing a good job at
Yeah.
comprehending what you're saying.
I sure can. So when I was listening to you talk, it came up in my head because, you know, you always talk about how you struggle with, you know, the whole thing in your head about, you know, stupid people, you know, and it's great when you give somebody advice, right? And it works out for them. It's like, yes, you know, what I told them worked out for them. And so I think naturally you think what I said worked out for them, or was it what they told themselves after they took the information that I gave them and manifested it into what they want worked for them, right? But when the person comes back and goes, in the example that you gave of the guy that quit his job, what if he would have come back and said, oh, you know what, Brittany, I don't know if I made the right decision on this. Like, this is really hard. I think I'm going to go back. You know, is your immediate thought process, you didn't hear me, you know, you didn't listen to what I told you, you're not, something you're doing is not correct? Or is it that you change your approach with them? Because in my case, I help a lot of people lose weight, and I'm not helping people to get muscle or to look a certain way. I'm just helping them lose weight for weight loss surgery, and they have a goal in mind. And I basically have to, it's more than just the weight. It's more than just the eating. It's more than just the exercise. There's always a mental block there. You know what I mean? So it's me speaking to that mental block. And with everybody, it's different. So what works for me, what worked for me in my journey isn't necessarily going to work for them. So my question in the box was, how would you have responded if his response was different than what you got?
So I've been working with him for over like a year and a half now. So we have come across that where he was like, when I first met, not met him, but I first started the journey with him, and he was like, okay, I want to quit my job by the end of 2019, right? And so the end of 20, even though it wasn't that long ago, it was just certain milestones that he had, and he wasn't putting in the work, so he was still being at the job. I really didn't have to do or say too much, because once you, how do I explain this? It's the same way that Sean says, make people think that they're answering their own questions or that they discovered it. So you say a couple things and then you wait for them to have the discovery. You know, it's just like I said what I had to say, but you still have to go and put your hand on the stove to know that it's hot. And now here you are, you know, and I trying to get some cold water for me. And it wasn't never about me. It was about what you had to realize. So, but it also boils down to who, because I don't spend my time on people that, and this may be mean or not the right way, but I don't care. People who don't show any type of willingness to change, I don't deal with them, because there are people that are just don't come to me for help, understood, but don't come to me for help and then I offer you help and you reject every single thing that I tell you just for fun, you know? Okay, because I also had a person like that. And I was like, okay, you know, I've done my due diligence, what you need, and I'm pretty sure you have a very broadened perspective on these things. So I've played my part in your life. So I decide who I will and will not work for, because you can tell when people have it and when they don't, you know? Does that make sense?
If I'm hearing y'all correctly,
So
there's one thing that Sean always says, and this might help, and tell me if it does, Monique. There's a lot of times Sean will tell you, if you're going to take credit for their success, you got to take credit for their failures. So this comes into be responsible to them, but not for them.
Yeah.
And that's all you can do. If you become responsible for them, now you got to take credit for everything, the success and the failure. So it would be the equivalent of Brittany said, if I tell you the stove is hot, you still have to go over there and touch it. If someone else touches it, you're expecting your hand to be burned.
Right.
No, their hand gets burned. You're just trying to keep them from getting their hand burned.
Right.
Are you responsible for that burn? No, they put their hand on the stove. But on the same token, if they have a success, you can't take credit for that either. If you do, then you need to go over there and put your hand on the stove and get burned with them.
Right.
Does that make sense? Monique, does that make sense how I said that?
yeah, it totally makes sense to me. And you know, like another thing that I think about, so like we're just talking about general people, right? So now when I think about the situation that I went through with my daughter when she was struggling with depression, now had said, well, you going into a bathroom and cutting your wrist was your problem, not mine. You know, I'm your mom. I sit here all day and I tell you the right things to do and the wrong things to do, and you didn't listen. So, oh, well, you know, but it was different, you know, in that situation. I thought to myself, okay, why is she not listening? What is it about me? And it really wasn't until I changed myself and stopped focusing on her lack and started focusing on my lack that she was able to change, because she was watching what I did, not listening to what I said.
This just goes back to what I was just saying about me trying to force people to believe in themselves when I didn't even believe in myself. And now that I'm like, I believe in myself so wholeheartedly, everything about me and everything around me, even if they aren't physically near me, has changed because I have changed. That energy just omits.
Right.
It's
100%.
Yeah.
100% agree with that. But there is going to be a moment where you're like experiencing that. And I experience this all the time, where you're experiencing like one breakthrough after another and it feels great. And then there's that one person that just breaks the chain.
Yeah, no, that's not, see, that's not, to me, I don't even see that. I can't even imagine that. There will never be that one person that just breaks the chain, because I'm not going to allow them to. Because if you think about it, everything that you do, life is about choices and the decisions that we make. So if you choose to allow them to break the chain, then they're going to break the chain. But if you choose to not allow them to break the chain, you just be like, okay, that's your issue. I'm still going to walk how I walk and talk how I talk. And either you fall in line or you fall out of line. And that just is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Because I've realized that I'm not meant for everybody. and everybody's not meant for me. And the people that I'm meant for, I come into their lives and I help them, or I come into their lives and they help me, or vice versa. We do it both at the same time. But when that time is up, I'm not about to push past our purpose in each other's lives. I'm gonna just let it go. There's no way that you're about to break my chain. It's over. It's done. Bye. You know, and if you don't get it, then that's on you.
Well, and
And
there's
but
some
it's
of those.
different when it comes to it's different when it comes down to your daughter, because that relationship is just way too, it's too, she is you, you know. So the things that as being a child and being a child that's affected by her damaged mother, it 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 what's the word I'm looking for? It rubbed off on me. It rubbed off on me, and I didn't at first. I'm very, very grateful for my understanding and knowledge and wisdom and critical thinking, because if let's just say for instance, you know, there's a difference between me understanding like, okay, you know what, this isn't coming from me, this is coming from someone else, versus feeling it and thinking that it's all coming from me and wanting to cut that source of pain off because I believe myself to be the pain. There's a difference in that, and you start to understand that, or be knowledgeable about that through just your own awakening and your own conscious thinking and conscious living. But if you can't do that by yourself, that's why we have people. And as a daughter, that first person is supposed to be our mom. So if our mom can't do it, it's just like 2 times the overload. You see what I'm saying? So it's like you had to fix yourself, you had to heal yourself in order to heal her, because she was like you were saying now, what you're doing now, taking the pain of people who can't lose weight, that's what your daughter was doing to you. She was taking your pain and she made it hers. And she just knew that this is the source of everything I'm feeling was her. She felt that it was hers. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It does. And I remember like when it happened to my daughter, I thought to myself, okay, well, this took a long time to come to this realization. Cause at first I was like, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to our family? And I changed that to, and this is how I look at every situation, especially the failures. Especially the people that I work with that are struggling a little bit more, is I think, now, why is this happening to them? But why is this happening for me? Because it's trying to teach me something about myself.
Yeah.
But then
you know what I mean? So I try to look at every situation like that.
I have a question though. In my perspective, why is it a failure? Like what, to me, I'm trying to figure out what is deemed a failure and why is it that? Is it because of the expectation?
You are making my point. Yeah.
I think
that we expect people to fulfill, and when they don't, it's a failure. Or you get what I'm saying? Like I'm trying to comprehend why we think if people maybe don't progress in a certain way, it's some sort of failure when it may not be that in the first place.
You're making my point, Ashley. Yeah. That's my point.
I think we measure failure or success by what, and that is what you were saying, Monique, because it's like, okay, it's a failure because they didn't do as I said them to do, but they could have probably realized something else, so it's still a success. But because it didn't look like our end goal, we measure it as failure. So yeah, I do understand.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying, Ashley, is, and I was asking the question not necessarily because I didn't know the answer, because I'm a mom of 2 kids and I don't ask any questions unless I already know the answer. I was asking it kind of open-endedly to get opinions from it, because that's exactly what I am trying to say, is that I was looking at, let's say in my daughter's situation, I was looking at it as a failure, but it was really it was the beginnings of so many successes, actually. You know, so that's why I was asking that question, because I wanted Brittany to get to that point where she said, I would look at it the same way as somebody who was doing great and somebody who saw success in it. It was just another stepping stone. You know, so that was perfect that you said that. Thank you.
Yeah, another way you might say that is when you have a situation like that, where are they speaking from? What are they speaking through? And what caused what they're speaking through and where they're speaking from. So there, there you go into the questions into Rhonda's head. And it helps you gain perspective as to where they're coming from. It's helped me not pick up frustration because I no longer am looking at them like, why aren't you getting it? It helps me walk through where they are coming from, what put them there, what old story made them stick there, and how hard are they working to stay there, and what do they have to let go of if they get moved out of there. Does that make sense?
100%.
So that's how I take notes. I'm just not over here writing as much. I'm listening more. But that's how working with Sean has made me take notes differently. And it's also made me interact with people differently, because now instead of just seeing them and going, well, why are they acting like that? The questions then arise, like what you asked, Monique, open-ended questions to help me gain their perspective. I don't have to pick up their perspective, but I can gain their perspective, and it'll help me formulate questions to ask them to help them potentially see where they're speaking from and how opposite it is of where they're wanting to be. It's just like when we go back to the very beginning of Brittany talking about all these people going, what do we have to do? What do we have to do? What do we have to do? And Brittany's over there going, you ain't got to do that much. You can do less. Asking the right questions to these people will help them understand that there's an old story or something attached to them that's causing them to think they have to jump all these hurdles and do all this work to get a result. What questions can I ask them to walk them through so they can understand they don't have to work so hard? But just walking in and injecting value and going, you ain't got to work that hard, do less, be more. They can't comprehend that. It doesn't make sense. So this is a really unique conversation. I wish Sean was here because he would have a total different spin. Are you back?
I'm back.
Oh, okay. You would have a total different spin on people being in a certain particular area in their brain and us trying to help them get out of that spot in their brain and into a healthier spot or into a better spot, and what happened to them, figuring out what happened to them to get them where they are. Is that tying it together, Monique? Is that making sense how I said that?
Yep, 100%. Thank you. I don't know how much Sean heard of it, but if he has any input, I'd love to hear his input too, because you're right. He will spin it a whole nother way.
He will. How long have you been listening, Sean?
Monique had started, and then it's been this conversation of how do we hear somebody so that they can hear themselves?
Yeah.
A lot of times people are operating from a routine, from a pattern, from a programming. And oftentimes when you have an engaged dialogue, they're going to hear things for the very first time, because the engagement isn't to debate a conversation, it's to understand the conversation. And the reason that we feel we have to do a whole lot is because we're trying to talk them into believing something different versus them hearing something different. And that's where questions come in. If we ask a couple of questions, I'm starting to read the book a little bit more. And funny is how there's always questions that's asked to the audience, whether it's the Pharisees, whether it's the people at the party, whether it's somebody, there's always a question asked. And when we ask questions with the intent for them to hear what they're actually saying, for them to say it in a different way, when you respond back to somebody going, that's a great answer, could you say it in a different way using different words? Isn't it funny how we wind up at the core? So yeah, coming in on the tail end of that, that's what I picked up. We really want to engage with somebody, but more often than not, it's two monologues that happen to bump into each other or be going down a parallel path, and one verges off to the left and one verges off to the right. And at the end of it, it's like, I don't know why they didn't understand me. They're stupid. It's because about halfway through, both of you stopped listening to each other.
That's exactly why I'm trying well, I don't even say the word trying. I am, because it's coming. The fruit of that is appearing. That's exactly why I am striving to learn how to do that better, because I get all these opportunities of people coming into my life or bumping into people, and I don't want to just bump into people anymore. I don't want to just bump in and then go off. I realize there will be some, but I want to gain something from everyone, that if they bump into me and they bump off, I still want to have the opportunity to soak in, why did God let them bump into me? And I can't keep them around. I'm not going to try to, work to, I'm not saying that I want to try to work to get everybody to stick around. That's not the purpose. But if I can ask questions that keeps me from going, well, they were just stupid. We've had conversations like this the last 2 or 3 days, Sean. And I can see value from them no matter where they're speaking from. I want to be able to do that, because I want to see every person as valuable. Maybe they're valuable as what not to do. Maybe they're valuable as what to do. Maybe their value is a little bit of both. So that's why I was so intrigued with Brittany's thought process at the beginning, and then hearing Monique and Ashley chime in. It's very intriguing to sit here and listen to this, because I want to be able to sit in a place to where I can hear all this and still gain value from anybody, whether we see things totally differently or whether we see things completely lined up. Did I say that right?
100%. And I asked that question because I think that's a question we all deal with on a daily basis, is that doubt, because that doubt is always creeping in, no matter how good things are going. It's almost like it's constantly testing you, So I agree with you 100%, is why is this person on my path? Why did I bump into them? What is the purpose? I'm always asking myself that.
Yeah, because there's some wild encounters that come across our paths that we sometimes just don't even pay attention to. And then later in life, you're like, oh my gosh, that's why that person crossed my path. So then I wonder now, the lesson continues until the lesson's learned. What is this? And then I finally get it. And sure, I could have got it a long time ago. I'm thankful to get the lesson now and to have that moment now. But now seeing that and being open to this type of community and conversation, I want to absorb that faster. And I want the value that everybody has. I want them to see it reflected in my eyes back to them, because I want them, when they come in contact with me, to feel the value that I see in them. And I can't reflect that or speak that back to them if I don't see it, and if I don't see it in myself either.
So here's a question. What does every student want?
To learn.
Well, that would be the average student.
To be free.
To be like the teacher.
All great answers, and all of them absolutely valid. To be free means they no longer have questions. So if that happens, and it can happen in a particular field that you're in, what does every teacher want?
To be heard.
For the students to go teach what they learn.
To have a good student. So every student's looking for a great teacher, and every great teacher is looking for a great student. The challenge is that when you enter into a dialogue, you have to decide which one of those you are, and those change rapidly.
Yeah, moment by moment, they can change.
That's why I sign my correspondence to people, your friend and student.
Well, you know, that's interesting you say that, because when you and I talk, when we just call each other and have our one-on-ones or we're discussing whatever it is, it switches now faster. Thank God I've actually allowed my God to, you know, help my brain through you. But it switches. I've noticed that it switches faster and faster. We'll have a conversation and you're speaking into me, and then all of a sudden I'm speaking into you. And that's curious. I just realized how fast that goes back.
I'm glad you awakened to it.
Always be a student to the game.
That's pretty funny. There's hands up. Did you make yourself the host again, Sean? Because Ada and Daniela both have questions or thoughts to
Ada,
add.
go ahead. If you're still there.
I'm still here.
Okay. Hey, Ada.
Good morning.
I love that smile. Thank you.
So I had a lot of questions earlier, but you left and then Rhonda took over, and then like Brittany kind of took over. And
Brittany took over? Oh my God.
basically, and everything that she was saying, she literally answered like every question that I had written down, like in a row. And I guess all I have to say is, she said you are not meant for everyone and everyone is not meant for you. And I took that because my initial question was, when it comes to people in my organization, people on my team, I've been told by my upline, and he's a really good friend of mine, that like I sound like I could be like naggy sometimes. And I know that that comes from a place of like me caring, like I actually want to see them do good. I feel like I'm always on them about doing the right thing, things that'll help them.
Is your upline male or female?
Male.
So there's nothing you could do that would make you sound less naggy. So
I know, but I was started thinking like, why is he saying
So
that?
It's not naggy, it's you caring. Now, the way you say it could be an issue, but that's the only way he can, because you're having a conversation at a level he can't. So the only way that a guy can not promote you is to say you're naggy. So you're not naggy. Let's go on.
So I started thinking, okay, why is he saying that? And it's like not really the first time I've heard that. And I know that it's because I'm the second oldest of 5 and I'm the first daughter. So when I speak to my siblings, I come off like a mom, kind of. Like I feel like I'm like telling them what to do. Although they know it's coming from a good place, I feel like, how do I come across to someone that's newly joined my organization? How do I come across like I just want to see you do good, not like I want to be on you all the time?
So do you have an interpretation? Do you have an understanding of what somebody should do when they come into the business?
Yes.
Good. Ask them what they think they should do.
Okay.
And if they give you an answer, say, well, how do you think those results will turn out for you?
Okay.
Because if you'd like, I could share with you some of the things that I know other people have been able to do when they come in that serve them well. But my job isn't here to tell you what to do. My job is here to make sure you get done what you want to get done. So ask some more questions. See what their mindset is. Well, I want to do this, this, and this. Awesome. Have you done that before? No. Might it be valuable to you to hear some of the things that other people have done that have made them successful? Yes. Now it's not coming from you. It's coming from the examples of others.
Okay. Got it. And
Did you ever use candy to get your siblings to do something when you were little?
Yeah.
Yeah. Use more candy.
Okay. The next question I had is, okay, yes. So she said you are not meant for everyone and everyone is not meant for you. And then my question was, like, how do you make sure you're giving enough? Because if you're not giving enough or not doing enough, then it's like, okay, you're not doing everything you can. How do I make sure
I left this call earlier. Who took over?
Rhonda took over.
Right. And then who else took over?
Brittany.
So quote unquote, it's my call.
Yes.
I'm not for everybody and everybody's not for me. So I have other people who are for everybody that's not for me. Use the 3-way.
Okay.
Introduce people to your team. Let them see other people in your organization. When Rhonda teaches her Bible study later today, she'll call on people. She'll refer to people. She'll tell stories of people. She'll tell stories about you all about how it was an awakening.
In a good way. It's all
In
good.
a good way. Yeah, in a good way. You'll always be the black print in the Bible, not the red print. So does that make sense? Does that help you, Ada?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay, so again,
And I
it's
just had-
about introducing people to your team, because you may be the one that's their upline,
Mhm.
but your job is to create community. So I'm always looking for people who are absolutely a mirror image of them somewhere in my organization, be a cross line, upline, downline, somebody. There's somebody I could enroll today that would inspire somebody who's been in for 5 years because they have a similar story.
Got it. All right. Thank you. And I just wanted to throw in one more thing.
Sure.
Kind of like,
And you're left-handed,
guess-
you gotta be a genius, so go ahead.
I guess like a little bit of a breakthrough or like an aha moment kind of thing. But maybe like last week, I had spoke on Nano's call, like I asked a question, and I started realizing that intention and awareness is like literally everything. And I started putting more intention into the things that I was saying, thinking, and doing. And I saw that I became more aware. And one of the things that I really like realized was that I know I've spoken to you like a little one-on-one about like my mom. And I started realizing that I'm literally just like her in a good way. I'm literally just like her. I would always be so worried that I wasn't up to her standards or enough of her, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But everything that I'm doing is literally like just her. The way she acted is how I'm acting, but I guess a little better at this point. A couple months ago, I think Bob Proctor had a seminar where he like mentioned like writing with the other side, like your non-dominant hand.
Yep.
And the quote was like, I am so happy and grateful now that I realize what is the quote? Hold on. I wrote it down. I write it down every day. I am so happy and grateful now that I realize my spiritual DNA is perfect and that perfection is within me. And then I begin each day looking for ways that perfection can be expressed habitually. And my mom is a very, very spiritual person, like very spiritual person. She's lost a little bit of it, but when she was younger, she used to tell me all these stories about things that she could literally do because of how strong her spirituality is. And then I started tapping into that part of myself, and I started realizing like, wow, like I'm just like her. So that whole sentence, I'm so happy and grateful now that I realize my spiritual DNA is perfect. Like it makes sense. So that's all.
Cool. Awesome sauce.
Thank you.
You bet. Daniela.
Hey, Sean, how are you?
Good. How are you, my love?
Good, everything is good. First of all, I want to say thank you for showing up every day.
My privilege. I get to.
And I have another question. It's funny because I was talking to Laura like 2 days ago, and I was telling her that I want to ask you more questions. Like I find myself in a place where I know I have a lot of questions, but it's not that I don't ask them. It's just that when I'm here, I don't know. I don't generate questions. It's just crazy, So, I was wondering, like I was thinking today, and I find myself sometimes that I get like irritated by like other people, like what they say or how they act or whatever. And I heard that sometimes that's like a reflection of yourself, or I don't know. So that's my question. Like, where is that coming from? Is like my old story that that is getting irritated, or is my ego, or what is it? Why do I feel like that? Like I feel like that, and then I realize I'm like, no, I shouldn't be feeling like that. Why am I feeling like that?
So what's your question?
Why? Yeah, why? Why do I get irritated by other people? Like,
So we get irritated from one or two things. One, it's something we don't want, something it's something we do want.
Okay.
That's the only reason we get irritated. We call it passion when it's something we want. We call it irritation when it's something we don't. How many, if I could give you a string of natural pearls, would you like it?
Yes.
So how does a pearl come about? They put a grain of sand, an irritation in a clam. And an irritation creates something beautiful, something we desire, something we hunt for. But it all, to the clam, it's an irritation. And then we take it from it. It makes this beautiful thing. It finally gets it so that it could live with it. It puts enough of this coating around it that makes it this beautiful device that it can finally live with it. It's spherical, it's round, and it's all this beauty. And it's like, I no longer have to worry about the irritation, but then all of a sudden this beautiful thing becomes the irritation, right? That's what makes a pearl bigger and bigger and bigger, right? It doesn't see a piece of sand in the clam and go poof and pop up a big old pearl. That builds over time. So even the beautiful thing becomes the irritation until it's not. Just be aware of which direction that irritation is. Is it irritation to want, passion, drive? We call that motivation. But then if somebody's a butthead because they don't want to be around people, we call them a butthead. That's the same irritation. It's the way we change the story about it.
That's true.
So be aware of what the irritation is. Is it something you want? Is it something you don't want? And if it's something you don't want, why do you keep repeating it? What's the story that you need to become aware of? Why does this keep showing up in my life? Why does this irritation of not showing up? Is the irritation keeping me from me? Listen, does the irritation, the piece of sand, keep the clam from being a clam? It's just, it has to spend its energy. We found a way for it to produce something we want. Maybe that's why people irritate you, to produce something they want. And then they take it from you and you're like mad they took it from you.
That's true. That's true.
So
love it. Yeah.
So be more in your world. What's the expression that normally goes along with a clam? I'm happy as a clam.
All right.
So just be happy as a clam, whether they put a piece of sand in you or not. Could you imagine the clam that's next to you, that you don't have the sand and they got the sand? They're like, oh, the sand. Yeah, but you're making this beautiful pearl. Why didn't they put sand in me? I want to make a pearl.
Wow.
You have no idea the pain that it goes through this pearl. And I got to make all of this stuff. And then they're going to come cut me open and take it away. Yes, but I want to make a pearl.
That's right.
Just decide where you're at.
Yes, love it. Thank you.
You're welcome. I don't know what the hell I'm teasing. Clams and pearls. Where did that come from?
Oh shit! Like I was this person, I was that. Even
That's exactly how I felt.
Yeah. So my mom did it, and she was.
Welcome to reality TV. Here we go. Anyone else? Any last thoughts, comments before we wrap it up for the morning? Thank you, Brittany. Thank you, Rhonda. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, everyone who jumped in there to fill in. Oh, by the way, I'm going to be on at 2:00 Eastern again. It was me and Jeff Altgibbers. You can check my Facebook page out. I may post it on Instagram. But Jeff Altgibbers is a good friend of mine. He's put 600,000 folks in the industry. And we didn't know we were going to be on the call this morning together until like 5 minutes beforehand. And they did a quick round robin interview with us. they had me down as having an organization of 300 million. I'm like, I think you got the numbers a little off. Maybe you added
That's
one too many-
prophetic.
Yeah,
That's
maybe-
prophetic. Yeah.
Maybe you added one too many zeros. It's 300,000. And but in the last 18 months, put 35,000 in an organization from scratch. So yeah, but it was a good call. The good energy on these things called the Unblinded. But Jeff and I are going to face off. I don't know what we're going to do. We're going to face off in love and have conversations this afternoon about something. So I'm not sure, but I know it'll be fun. And so, yeah, if you want to join us on that. What else? Let's see. Rhonda, what'd you pick up from today? Yeah, sure. Keep talking. Keep talking. Yeah, can't hear you.
Sorry. Probably good because I was like, because I didn't poop my pants for, making me take over the call. I'm like, thank God for Brittany and Ashley and Monique. Yes. Thank you, Jesus. So I learned that.
Monique, yes, thank you, Monique. Well, how did I forget to thank that wonderful heart? Thank you, Monique. Go ahead, Rhonda.
So no, that's it. Y'all gave me a lot of great information for what I know God's been putting on my heart for this Bible study in just a little bit. And y'all will probably be some stories in there. I won't be revealing names. I'll just be telling stories, but this is good. This helps me to understand why things are transpiring and transforming in my life the way they are. So yeah. And Monique, you're right. Brittany, thanks for coming on and asking the questions you did and telling the stories that you did. And you are.
Now I'm going to have to go back and listen to the replay.
You are. She's a brilliant, beautiful soul. And I am so thankful of her rising and awakening. You are. It's beautiful. I love hearing you. I love listening to you. I love the questions you put into my head. I love your strength. And you're so determined. And it's a breath of fresh air. Sometimes it's a breath of fresh air shoved down my throat and I need it, but it's a breath of fresh air. And you're amazing. I'm so grateful for you. And the way you and Ashley and Monique were visiting and talking and just working it out. I am lucky to be here and be able to a part of that. So thank y'all.
Did that breath of fresh air dry your teeth?
That is Thank you.
That's funny. Well, there you go, folks. Another amazing day. Thank you all for being there for all of us. I appreciate y'all. I'm Sean Murphy.
Bye, y'all.
Founders of these Misfits. I'll see y'all where? At the next event. Y'all send some love to each other.
Be great today.
You guys. Bye-bye.
Family, have a great day.
Love you
guys. Bye, y'all.
Love you guys. Love you, my Misfit family. Everyone have a blessed day.
Bye, everyone. Love you.
Love y'all.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, guys.